Is it? How are you, Mr. Murphy? Good, thanks.
What's that? We'll ask you. Yeah, so. How is executive session? Meeting with the folks at school this morning. So today is not an interview, it's just introduction.
Meeting come to order. Purpose of this meeting is really put faces with names. You volunteer as much information as you want or don't want. It's just for us to take under advisement to get a clerk-treasurer to finish out one more year till the election. We're just going to go the way the stack is here, and Natalie Steele, be first up. You'd like to step up here and tell us a little about yourself.
My husband moved just down the road to Dayton about just celebrating 3.5 years.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but could I ask you to please speak loudly?
Okay.
Thanks.
I'm Natalie Steele. My husband and I moved down Walnut Street about 3.5 years ago. We're going to celebrate our 4th year upcoming year. Really like the small town life and like being kind of close to everyone in the neighborhood. When I moved back to my husband's, so it wasn't near campus. Influx of traffic and students, and it's not fun for me, but I'm born and raised here, so Dayton is not far from us over on the west side. I don't consider that far. So, moved here and been setting up shop ever since. So started a company out of our house now, so we're trying to get that up and running. But it's kind of me personally. So professionally, I've kind of been in customer service since I was 12. I kind of consider, as I've gone through jobs along the way, everything tends to be customer service. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, you always have someone asking you for something. So you would treat it the same way. It's kind of what I've learned along the way. We moved back to the area. I worked at Purdue for a couple years. And my husband is in the creative field, and once he kind of got settled in with that, we decided it's my turn, and I started in the creative field, and kind of want to get back to the office work. I like doing creative work, but kind of with my own company and my own terms. So I like to get back to the office work as my day job. So.
On your summary of qualifications, you have 5 years data analyst, tree wolf, be pretty good with Word, Excel, all the basic programs.
Yep. Yeah, even back in like middle school. I used those, been using those ever since that. But yeah, at Purdue and then before Purdue I did long-term care insurance. So a lot of money switching hands, a lot of payments, a lot of payouts and spreadsheets. So very, very used to it.
Before you ask another question, I'm Reed Murtaugh, town attorney. Just wanted to get on the record that this is not an official interview, so any questions that are asked, you don't have to answer them. All the information that you're providing here tonight is voluntary. The law does allow for an executive session, which would be a meeting where the public is excluded for a more formal interview. So just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that and everyone is aware of kind of the purpose of tonight. We have an open meeting. I just want to make sure that any questions and responses are voluntary.
Would this be your primary job? And would you be available for all the hours that the office is open?
Yes. Yeah, the company we started from our house is, I draw portraits, so I can pretty much do that just whenever I'm home. It doesn't have a set of hours or anything, so yeah, we're looking for something full-time that I can start work with, so.
Got one question? No. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Reed and Neal.
My name is Rita Neal. I've been at 291 Harrison Street for the past 12 years. I was born and raised out by Stockbrook, been around the area all my life. I have, well, right now I'm unit secretary in the emergency room at IU on that. It's a little crazy, looking for something to be a little bit calmer. But before that, I was 17 years in the banking industry. I started out as teller, ended with being assistant branch manager.
Would this, I'll ask you, or you too, would this be your primary job? And would you be available during the day for all the office hours?
And then the time I was needed, yes.
Any questions? Thank you. Karen Howe.
Hi, my name is Karen Howell, and we moved to Dayton about a year ago. And from prior to that time, I started out in Gary, Indiana, and then I moved to Maryville, Indiana, which was, at the time I was there, the largest town in Indiana. And that's where I graduated high school, and did several different educational opportunities, graduated from Ivy Tech with a degree in basically computer technology, and worked as a corporate programmer for a while. I worked at Home Hospital in their data processing area. Fast forward to more current ventures is that I do photography and videography, and I do the web presence and database management for one of the real estate firms in town. And then I do photography for another one and a lot of different video work. So I come with experience in QuickBooks and various Microsoft products. I have a small business, so I do that. And then also I come with expertise in various areas of technology that I think could be implemented here in our little town. I really enjoy living in Dayton. I've liked the whole experience here, right down to the little post office and the P.O. boxes. I find Dayton to be a very friendly community, and my basic interest is to be able to serve my community. I do have availability for the hours that are required, and happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
You answered mine, would you be available for our offices? It is open.
Yeah, I live at 726 Main, which is just walking distance to block away, so.
Yeah.
You obviously have the computer experience, so. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Each Spencer.
Hi, I'm Peter Spencer. My family has lived here for over 30 years. I was a Bulldog, graduated from McCutcheon. I live here where my parents have been. I live at 752 Main Street. Our family is probably not known around here. We've been quiet, but they have been here for 30 years. My kids have all graduated from this area. Hoping to raise the grandkids in this area. I want to instill back into this department the heart and service that I think that it's lost. Each and every day at my job right now, I deal with customer service, and that's what I've done my whole career, and that's what I want to bring back to this position. It's disheartening that to read some comments online that, people are dissatisfied with how the office has been run, and I have a full-time position, I work with a lawyer, and I would gladly leave that to come here to instill what I think people are missing and want back in this job. So, if you guys have any questions, I'd gladly answer them right now, but I want to bring back to Dayton what I think that a lot of people think that it's lost. And I'm ready to help that and serve the community and bring it back. And I have the computer skills, I have, accounts payable, receivable, payroll. You can see I've been manager, I've managed a few companies, so I have the experience, and I'm willing to help out where I can. Right now, I feel like this is a calling that I need to help out.
And you said this would be your full-time job.
Yes, I would leave my attorney's office to come here if given the opportunity to bring back what needs to bring brought back to me.
Any other questions? Thank you. Michelle Freeman.
I have something to hand to you guys before. I made up a proposal of what I would like to bring back to the town. And I made some extra copies if any of the townspeople would like to see what I would like to bring back. So my name is Michelle Freeward. I am actually currently Dayton's utility clerk. I've been working here at Town Hall for the past 7 months, and with working in the office, I've been able to have the first hands-on experience to see what the town has been missing. I've had a lot of ideas, but obviously in my position as utility clerk, I don't have that authority to bring them to the town. So if I were to be able to become the new Clerk-Treasurer, being in here in the past 7 months, I know that hours have been a huge thing. I've also experienced, we've taken data, I've done a work chart to see like how many people actually come to the office, how many calls we get a day, how many credit card payments we get, how many payments we get in the mail, and Dropbox, to kind of see where our bills come from. And I've noticed the first 2 weeks of the month tends to be our slow. Very rarely do I get phone calls or emails or people coming in and dropping off payments. Only if there's like a water leak or a question about a bill or a late bill payment. So I was proposing to add in more hours, especially evening hours, because I am the one who proposed the Tuesday and Thursday evening hours, because I did see on Facebook that a lot of people were complaining about people who don't get off until 5 or 6 o'clock at night. They can't call in the office. If there's ever an emergency, they have trouble to get a hold of. So I believe in those first 2 weeks of a month that we should be open at least 27 hours a week. As the clerk-treasurer, I would be in here more hours doing bank rec, bills, reports, things like that. But those would be the open hours to the public that I'm proposing. The last 2 weeks of the month, I am proposing that the office be open 40 hours a week and have those extended Friday hours, because most people get paid every other Friday, or Friday is a payday. So then again, I would be here a majority of those hours. I know all of you know, I don't know if the town people know, I am also a school bus driver for LSC, but being a school bus driver, it is really flexible because I am home from the bus at 8:30, so I'm in here at 9, and then I do go back in the afternoon. I do leave here at 1, and then especially in the evenings, I'm back in here at 4:30. So even as the utility clerk, if I'm the clerk-treasurer, I would have that utility clerk to be in here to cover those 3.5, 4 hours that I go back to the bus in the afternoon. But then there are, like this week, or the past 2 weeks, we've been on Christmas break. So we've got summer break, fall break, Christmas break, all of those breaks to where, like the past 2 weeks that we've been off, I've been in here the full 9 to 3 and then the 5 to 7. And even when I do get in here early, I open up the door, I flip the sign over. Even if I'm in here and it's not 5 o'clock, I'm open. I've had many people come in here. If I'm here, the door's open, whether it's business hours or not. I'd also like to see the credit card machine brought back to the office. I absolutely hate online bill pay. I think it's been a disaster. Some people do like it because of the convenience, but I'm one of those people that I strongly believe that the credit card machine should be brought back to the office. I know one of the big concerns was how much it was, but I feel like that's when you shop around and see what is the best price for the town to get that back in to serve the people of the town. I also feel like because a lot of townspeople are concerned about how many hours a clerk treasurer is in here and that they're getting paid for a full-time salary and not putting in those hours, I am willing to clock in and out, no matter what times I'm here, to show that accountability and to show the people that I am here, I'm earning my salary, I am serving them. I am open on Facebook, so even like my personal thing, I have residents who message me 10, 11 o'clock at night when there's a problem or there's an issue, and I usually get right back to them. I've had many people privately message me, and I feel like I do have a good reputation in the town for the customer service that I have provided, especially with the evening hours. I have many people that thank me for doing that, because if it wasn't for that, they would never be able to get in here or ask questions about the bill. I also would like to see an official Town of Dayton Facebook page, not one that's ran by outside people, that is ran by the clerk treasurer and the utility clerk, that is for informational purposes only. No drama, no blocking, everybody is welcome, that we can post updates if there's problems with billings or concerns, so that people do know. And if we do open extra hours, or if I'm in the office working and we're not open, put on there, hey, I'm in the office, if anybody has questions or concerns, feel free to call me, I will answer the phone. There's been times where I've come in here just to print off some paperwork and phones have rang and I answer them. It doesn't matter whether or not we're closed or open. If I'm in here and the phones ring, I answer them. So I would just like to see that. I feel like I know what the town people want. I have been doing payroll with Alex. I put in the stuff in the funds, all of the deposits. I do the bank runs. She's shown me how to write not write checks, but put the checks in, how to make payments. So I've been, I do all of the online bill pay, the downloading the invoices, putting them into fund and everything like that. So I've learned quite quickly I've been having her work with me on stuff since day one, because I didn't want just to strictly put in utility bills. So I feel like I can bring back that heart to the town.
You answered my question.
We know what your question was, Ron. I came to
No other.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
So like when I'm here, I'm usually at town meetings. My name's Kimberly Wright. I live on 647 Marquis Circle. I've lived here since October of 2015, so I haven't lived here nearly as long as some of you. But pretty early on when I came to town, I tried to get involved. I tried to come to as many meetings as I could. I am a local attorney. I've practiced in the Lafayette area. That encompasses, for me at least in my practice, 7 counties surrounding Lafayette. Since 1998, so I've been an attorney for over 20 years. The council has the benefit of seeing my resume, and the townspeople do not. I'm happy to share it if you don't mind me redacting my cell phone number. Not that I mind you calling, but just until unless I was an official public figure, I'd like to keep that redacted. As a background, I have a bachelor's degree in accounting and finance. Most of my early career was spent in private accounting. I worked for actually a company, a 6-sister company corporation based out of Lafayette. At this time, I believe, used to be based out of Remington, Indiana, where I grew up, called Shilley Transportation at the time. They may have changed their name. I worked in their accounting and finance department, doing all of their financial reconciliations for all of the different vice presidents of each of the 6 sister companies. I also work for a nonprofit group called CDC Resources out of Monticello. They, if any of you are aware of what they do, they provide disability services, usually for those that don't have outside resources. So I'm very experienced in the governmental accounting area. I also work for the Department of Revenue. Unfortunately, I work for their inheritance tax division, which has now been repealed, and I think that's a good thing. But at the time, I enjoyed estate work, so it was a natural progression for me to work not only as in their legal department, but also in their accounting department. Primarily now what I do is I have my own law practice. I've had my own law practice since 2003. I've also owned a corporation with my father, who passed away this fall. We operated an excavating business. No, I do not operate equipment, and please don't ask me to, I might hurt someone. But we operated that until the end of 2017, and we had operated that for 20 years as well. And although I wasn't a hands-on digger, I was behind the scenes every day, handling any disputes, handling any legal work, reviewing contracts, reviewing purchases of major equipment, things like that, corralling my father at times. We started out with my father and my brother and I in a business, so at the very beginning of the business I was mediating quite a bit because the two of them were both headstrong and needed me to step in. That business has fallen off of my resume, at least in theory, because he passed, he was disabled, we wound down the business. He didn't need me, and he didn't need me to step in and dig, which was a good thing. So my practice today is I am a Chapter 7 bankruptcy trustee, which is a fiduciary position. If you look up the definition of fiduciary, essentially it's handling others' money. And it sounds odd to say that I'm a bankruptcy trustee and handle others' money. It's almost the reverse of a probate estate. People who have gone bankrupt, if they have any assets that some money could be given to their creditors, I handle that. I was appointed, I'm going to say, with less than a year's experience in the practice of law. I hadn't gotten my feet wet yet, but one of our current appellate court judges, Maggie Robb, decided, I like how she does things. She jumps in, she handles things. She's not afraid to take on something new. She's not afraid to ask questions if she doesn't know what direction to go. She couldn't hand me that position, but she handed me to the federal government, who interviewed me, liked me, and somehow trusted me to pick up this position without any formal training. In addition to that, I've been doing that, like I said, for 20 years. I've practiced with different firms in the town, doing a multitude of different types of practice of law, business law, bankruptcy law, banking law, divorce, criminal, you name it, I've probably stepped in it before. But right now my practice has narrowed down to just the bankruptcy law, and then I do a little bit of disability law as well. Many of the candidates have spoken about public service. I'm the Sheffield 1 precinct committeeman and state delegate currently. I've been very involved in the state county Republican Party for many years. I've been involved in a couple of one of the judicial campaigns, and then this past year's clerk's campaign. And it's really opened my eyes as to county government as well as local town government. The other area of my practice I feel is my public service addition to my practice that I added back in 2014. I am a 1 day a week public defender for those who are behind in child support. And many of you may think, well, what defense do they need? The people that are behind in child support, yes, it can be looked upon negatively, but these people need help. And that's what I feel like I do best, is help people. To jump ahead to Ron's question, because I know he'll ask, being a lawyer does not mean that I am in my office from 8 to 5 every day. There is 1 day a week that I'm probably a little more constrained as to my hours, but that's because I answer to a judge. The rest of my weeks, months, I know ahead of time when I am and am not responsible to answer to a judge. Most of the time I'm answering to my clients. Most of the time I'm answering to my clients from 647 Marquis, from my office at 100 Executive, from Ron's business, from any of these people's businesses. Anywhere I'm at, if I'm able to pick up the phone, I talk to these people. They're the heart and soul of what makes me tick, and what I think that I could bring to the town is not a 40-hour week necessarily that you would think of in the traditional sense. It's my understanding that over time, the past couple of clerks, yourself included, Mr. Kohler, the hours have been structured so that the town felt that the community could be served. And it's interesting to say, and I think it's a great idea that Michelle and Alex did the study regarding when the traffic is coming in, when people are needing that service. I think it's a great idea to study that again, especially amongst the council members. Develop and coordinate with the clerk what hours you think should be open hours, not necessarily clerk only, but clerk and utility clerk in conjunction, because they are a team, but also something that I've offered to my clients, which is off hours, sometimes by appointment. Let's say someone sends in a message, whether it be to a new town-run Facebook page or some other sort of portal, an email that says, I'm really struggling to get my bill in by 5 o'clock on the deadline. You know, could someone be there at a certain date? I don't live far away, and I'm not a jet setter. I'm not out of town a lot for my business. I could come up here and address that situation right away. Where I'm a little different is that I do have other interests, and I intend to pursue those interests, but I also think that with my background, especially in the accounting, the governmental accounting, and thank you to Alex and Michelle, I requested and received a tour of the office last week. I was able to see what kind of programs they use. Those are programs that I've not necessarily worked with those proprietary programs, but that I've had experience dealing with getting used to a new program like that. So I think I would fit well. I'm not saying I wouldn't drop at least one of my areas of practice. That's not my favorite right now, but it is my most unpredictable, and that would be the Social Security disability area. I'm open to questions. And I'm also willing to share my resume if anybody would like a copy. You sure?
I think you answered.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. State manager.
Yes, sir. That'd be me. I'm Dave Leininger. I live at 764 Shady Lane. Been there for about 30 years. Family members have been in this town for nearly 100. The Yost family. My mom married into that family years ago. Bob Yost, if you got an extra hour, head on out to Mulberry. He's 94. He's been there for about 3 years since my mom has died. So he'd love to see local folks stop in. Please do so. Yeah, I've been in the software industry, not the computer side, the software industry for over 30 years. In fact, when we moved up to Tippecanoe County from Indianapolis, it was to become the director of international operations for a software company founded by Purdue professors. And so I spent a lot of time overseas. I had a flat in London. I was involved with heavy finance on the international scale, and then came back and got involved in other consulting firms locally, Indianapolis locally, and headed up their finance and healthcare sides of things. So budgets, I was part of the budget making process here when I was on this particular council. I had to leave early because of expanded duties that I took on with Fusion Alliance at that time. Became a solution director, was in charge of 40 technologists in 3 cities and 2 states. I really couldn't give the research that was done here the proper due, although participated for the rest of that period of time. Now, I looked at the 7 or 8 items that were listed for this particular role, the process and filing the budget. Okay, been heavily involved. Completing all aspects of payroll, well, there's a software package that does all that, just need to push a few buttons, and then it comes out. Submitting the monthly report. Here's where we start to see some things that I think I bring to the table that perhaps others have not yet mentioned. And that's my ability to take a complex topic and break it down into something much simpler and understandable. So when we push a button on a software product that puts out a report, I think the report that you look at is not able to be discussed in English that we would think of in a town setting. Rather, it is meant to be discussed by financial analysts. So my ability to break that down, those complex issues, become, I think, valuable. I've already done that. In fact, I did this and posted it. 7 years of Dayton's finances. This is easily available online. It gives a good window into, well, where do we spend the money? When somebody says, Ron, let's buy X, and Ron starts to go, I don't know, should we buy X? B, what's the price? C, Mike starts to ask, well, when did we ever talk about that? Or Tammy says, well, I think we did that 5 or 6 years ago. Let's see. What's the percentage that we're spending in each of, I don't know, 20 or 25 accounts, not bank accounts, but functional accounts within the finance system. So, highly familiar with that end of things. Quite familiar with the online world. Built my first website for a company back in 94, 95. We were selling products around the world at that point. Since then, I've been one of 4 involved with the We Are Dayton 2, just to be real clear about Facebook sites and towns. I think we've got 8 sites here in town, 8 Facebook presences. I just did some quick looks here today before I came over. On We Are Dayton 2, we posted 407 posts this past year, 2018. we being there were 4 of us that were involved, I probably posted 95% of those. We had over 100,000 visitors, 102,000 people that reacted, not just visited, but reacted in one way or another to those 407 posts. Here's what I know about Facebook. It is the wrong platform for government entities. The state doesn't have any of their entities on Facebook. It requires that a person join Facebook in order to see public information. Reed, I hope you give us some background on that. We've got a official website for the town. It's been here for a long time. Alex and others brought in new technology, which would be, get a message if there's a problem. I love Kimberly's idea of a candidate would want to be able to be available, and this is a real small town issue. A real small town issue, I'll throw out you on this. Where's our small town feel? Well, the small town feel is, let me call the clerk and I'll meet him or her up to the office because I need to transact my business. I don't know, because I don't do it online, although way over 50% do use the online payment system. I don't want to drop a check in the slot, although people have done it for years, it's safe. But I want a receipt somehow, okay? So somebody needs to see somebody. And the office is open a good number of hours. I'm prepared to be here. There's a lot to work on when you start to look at things like administering employee benefits, maintaining all the documents, the records, the ordinances, making that available to the public. I think having discussions with the public is a big deal. Not just the public in town, although it's great to see people, but when somebody wants to come in and looks around town and they see 60 acres north of your place, Mike, they go, is that for sale? What might that be about? What's the town about? You know, don't people go to a website first? Don't they go to the website for either a company, a region? I think if we have further discussions, as some of us have had, with the Tippecanoe County folks, those that had at one point it was a Chamber of Commerce, and there were 2 or 3 other organizations, they coalesced into a Tippecanoe County area. Those people are operating at a different level than we are. We should work with them and let them see what we have available. Here's, you know, what's the percentage of population in Dayton of the county? Because that's how funds start to be distributed, right? When you get the distribution of the riverboat monies, those are distributed not on how nice people are, how pretty your house is. It's distributed based on population, period, end of discussion. And the population in Tippecanoe County, gee, that's 70,000. Lafayette's 67,000. West Lafayette's 29,000. So those 3 entities alone are 950,000 out of the 1 million people in the area. So we are less than 1%. Audubon's less than 1%. Clark Hill's less than 1%. Shakeland's less than 1%. Battleground, less than 1% of the population. So when monies are distributed by population, the grandeur of what we do out here isn't really seen so much, and you know this because I know you talk to lots of folks out. So I just want to make it clear that we've got a very important job for 1,400 or 1,500 people for 535 households. But it kind of ends because we didn't annex further to Haggerty. The county has said, yeah, we're going to do that for you. Not annex it, we're going to build that. And you know, when Apartments are built out there across from the Cornells. Don't come crying to me. We had the opportunities to acquire that land and make it part of it. So, I sound like I'm on a rant, but I'm not. I'm here to say that there are lots of tasks that this next clerk-treasurer needs to undertake, especially on the treasurer's side. Yeah, the interacting with the town is extremely important. Being a face in the town, not just to the residents, but to the people who are thinking of coming here or thinking of establishing a business here. Needs to be a conversation that can be had on their time frame, and that is, would you like to meet? I'll see you there. Otherwise, I'd be up here. I think the hours are posted now, 9 to 3, 3 days a week, 5 to 7, 2 days a week. That's, what's that, 22 hours. My finances are diverse. I am outside of the area of working 40 hours for somebody else. I just don't do that anymore. I've got passive income from investments. I've got passive income from a variety of very focused data consulting projects. So meeting somebody at 7 a.m. for coffee, 7 p.m. for coffee, I don't drink beer, over to your place for a Coke, whatever time needs to be done, you know, to meet a resident. Because let's face it, out of 535 bills, 500 people don't care about any of us in this room, or they'd be here. And they never are. So they don't care. They know you're doing a good job. They know you're leading this well. They know that this has been occurring for years, mostly fine. There's very little that the 535 households have as issues with this body or the clerk. It's as small as we can see, handful of folks. Dealt with people on the line, look forward to being part of that again here. Ask for your money. Questions?
So, I got one.
I bet you do.
I was trying to comprehend everything you said here. So would you be here during the open hours of this town when the office is open, or would you not be there?
I would, let's talk about what those hours are. The hours are currently 9 to 3, 3 days a week, 5 to 7, 2 days a week, sure.
But I think those have been scaled down, and I think they might increase at some point, so.
I think they could increase. I think that we have to find out why we would increase it. If we would increase them to 40 hours, just so that we'd say it's 40 hours, then that's a bad idea. I don't think most people are interested in that. If people can't get their business done with the town in 90 hours a month, there's the private consulting available at no fee to let them do that kind of work. I think based on the schedules that have been taken down, the information that Michelle shared with us, that there's not a huge need for a 40-hour week. And the clerk job is not, as you know, an hourly position. It's a paid position. It's X. And so trying to associate the fee for the position with hours worked is not the way that one looks at that. Did the task which tasks do we have to complete? Did those tasks get completed in a period of time? If they did, we are done.
Because I was clerk for 12 years, I disagree a little bit. I do think that this office maybe not needs to be open 40 hours, but I think, like Michelle or somebody commented, there's times of the month that it should definitely be open 35, 30 to 40 hours, but not cut it down to where it's 18 or 6 or whatever. But I think it's, I think the town needs to get back to what it used to be and what the old boards, including when you were on the board, wanted me to work and wanted this office to be open. And somewhere we've gotten away from that from the last 15 years. And I think it's very important that I just think it's the hubbub, like the post office is the hubbub of this community, that there'd be a lot more people coming up here and using this office if we were open and they knew it, and they knew there was not an animosity, or, that we wanted them up here at the office. I think they would be spending time here, and I think we need to push that and let people know that, hey, come up here, we're your friends, and we want to get answers for you and everything like that.
I love the idea of the town hall and of the building out here in the summertime being the hub of the community. We've not done a great job as a council and as a town, even as residents making suggestions for we'd like to do this. So I think I hear some of what you're saying there. I think in the 15 years since you were on the council, a lot of technology that townspeople are familiar with has come about. I talk to people every day that call me and say, I don't have a Facebook account, what is this stuff going on with your We Are Dayton 2? I'm going, yeah, what we need is take a look at the town, the official town website. Facebook's the wrong place to push a town. And for notifications, we've already got and are paying for a system that everybody's got a phone.
Remember too, though, I was clerk 15 years ago, but I was also clerk 3 years ago. So there's, you know, so technology hasn't just all of a sudden in the last 3 years knocked out the whole cause for a town hall and hours.
No, of
and
course
personal
not. No, and
business
nobody's
and all
saying that. Nobody said that. I think that, you know, when I look back at those 407 posts, 102,000 or 102,400 people that had a reaction to We Are Dayton 2, there were 2 posts that had the most reaction, the most results, the most interactions. And it kind of surprised me.
I'd be glad to be on there posting something if you'd let me on there too.
You know,
So, you can't just exclude
Yeah.
the 4 people that never.
There are 4
Yeah.
people that were excluded, and it was you know why you're excluded, I'm not gonna call you out in front of
I'm sure I
everybody.
know.
You know
I
exactly why
know
you're
exactly
excluded.
why.
And you should be posting it. But here's the point. The point is that the most visited, viewed were, number 1 was the garage sale, the town-wide garage sales. Thousands of people reacted to that post, thousands, over 7,000. And the second most posted, which was just a couple thousand, not 7,000, was a conversation that a couple of us had. I got ahead of the situation, which was, let's have movie night and project against the side of the building. The town wants that. The town's asking for that. So it's clear that the garage sale was successful. I think the town can do more to make that even more successful and start moving toward a few areas. But that's a different discussion.
Any other question? Thank you, Dave.
That's fine.
See you, Dave.
See you.
I think that concludes what we were here to do tonight. We'll take all this under advisement. We'll get Ashley back to our executive session, like I said, and come to a decision. But as I think we discussed, Reed, that it has to be, even though we make a decision, it's got to be noticed by 10 days or something like that.
Right, so to fill the vacancy, the town council will need to send a notice, and the notice must be in writing, state the purpose of the meeting, state the date, time, and place of the meeting, and that it needs to be sent by first-class mail to each council member 10 days before the meeting. So that needs to be either a regular meeting or a special meeting, and so that will be public meeting, but the interviews can be done separately from that and before that.
The closed door interviews could be,
Correct.
they could be done in 48 hours from now, right? As
Right.
soon as it- So do we want to set up a meeting for that private, how quick do you guys want to get this accomplished?
Well, it'd be nice before the next meeting, 14th, but that's not gonna happen, so. Whatever happened, we were on the meeting.
Another thing is the procedure I'm talking about is what the law allows for the council to fill the vacancy permanently. The law also allows the executive, who's the town council president, to make an appointment temporarily, if that's needed.
But we could, if I understand, I don't care which way we go, but in 48 hours, we could have our private discussion, narrow it down, right? And then have any more interviews we need.
I think it's clear that interviews meet the requirements for an executive meeting. If you're wanting to have, anyone come back and do an interview. I'm not sure if deliberations purely would qualify, so I need to look at that if that's what you want to do. I think that most of the deliberations should be done at this public meeting.
Usually our private meeting in the past, when we do, like when we interviewed the police and everything, we narrowed it down, then we had a private meeting, and you interviewed them again, and roughly talked between the boards somewhat. You had some discussion, you had to have some, you know. And I thought that was allowed because of, for personnel in that private meeting, but you can check that out.
Right. Yeah, I didn't get I was a little short on time
Yeah.
looking at all this today, so that's just what I wanted to look into a little more before I advise you. And I know that if you want to schedule a formal interview, that you'll be allowed to do that in executive session, and we can just discuss more on how the deliberations work. But if you wanted to just go from here to deliberations, we want to just make sure that we're doing what the law allows.
Do we want to set up that meeting?
As soon as possible.
That's what I thought. You want to get this.
It'd have to be for Monday, then. Create training session, so Monday would be early,
The training on the 8th or the 10th, Tuesday. Okay.
Monday would be the early.
So that, that'd be okay, right? So we just need to say that we want to have it so that Alice can post it and get it in before we
We post that as an executive session.
Yes.
close the executive session.
Close the executive session.
Yes.
Okay. So we post that for Monday.
I can post that before I leave if you need me to.
Okay. We do
Or
that.
6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock again.
6 o'clock works. Is it all right with you guys? Let Ashley know. Something more? Motion to-
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, everybody, for coming.